I'm Eric Bowling, along with Kennedy, Bob Beckel, Megan McCain, and Greg Gutfeld. It's 5 o'clock in New York City, and this is The Five. Tonight, new developments on the stunning collection of Trump team communications by U.S. intelligence. We now know where the Intel Committee Chairman Devin Nunes viewed the information he found concerning. That's ignited a controversy of its own. More on that in just a minute. But first, Ranking Member Adam Schiff still won't let up on Nunes for briefing the president on the matter before the committee.
We can't have a credible investigation if one of the members, indeed the chairman, takes only information he has seen to the White House and doesn't share it with his own committee. I think the chairman has to make a decision whether to act as a surrogate of the White House, as he did during the campaign and the transition, or to lead an independent and credible investigation. I hope he chooses the latter. The country really needs to have an independent, credible investigation in the House.
Adding fuel to the controversy, it was revealed today that Chairman Nunes viewed the documents that reportedly shows incidental collection of Team Trump on White House grounds a day before he revealed it to the news to the public. His spokesman says it was shown to him there in order to have proximity to a secure location where he could view the information provided by the source. Because of classification rules, the source could not simply put the documents in a backpack and walk them over to the House Intelligence Committee space. White House Press Secretary Sean Spicer addressed that revelation at today's briefing.
I know that Chairman Nunes has confirmed that he was on White House grounds Tuesday, and frankly, any questions regarding who he met with or why he was here should be referred to him. I'm not going to get into who he met with or why he met with them. I think that's something that he has been very, very clear, and I'll let him answer it.
Oh, yeah, Greg, it just seems like a lot to do. A lot of times committee chairmen can go to the White House, and they're looking for these sensitive, compartmentalized information facilities, secure locations.
Well, you know, we must point out, first of all, that Adam Schiff is definitely Sheriff Woody from Toy Story. When I look at him, that's all I see. Do you?
He needs the hat, though, right?
He does need a hat. I don't know. The question is, has he helped or hurt the president? I mean, it's like he wanted. It sounds like he wanted to do the right thing, but it kind of blew up in his face. It's like setting up two people on a blind date, and one turns out to be a psychopath. But the bottom line is the perception from Nunes' broad claim that Trump's people were surveilled through incidental collecting, in a way, has proved that Trump is kind of right. Not completely right about Obama, Bob, but that's all. The best you can hope for is being half right, and Trump, in a sense, is half right, which is better than most politicians. Nunes provided Trump with more cover than Michael Moore's shadow.
All right, Bob, you're chuckling, but why don't we wait and find out what Nunes knows, what he's seen, what he's been told, and shown documents, several documents showing Trump team transition members being incidentally surveilled by the FBI or Intel.
The key point you made here was that they couldn't carry these things up to the Intelligence Committee because it would have been an illegal act, or they would have had to write out the fact that they took it out, which indicates to me that the most secure locations in Washington by far are the House and Senate Intelligence Committees. They could easily have gone there, but they didn't do that. Why? Because a Trump person gave it to Nunes to cover up.
Wait. You're speculating.
Well, no,
you're speculating, Bob.
We don't speculate on the Five.
We don't know who Nunes saw these documents. We don't know who that.
Oh, actually, somebody had to have access to the White House grounds.
Well,
to get
Megan,
there, right?
NSC has offices in the White House.
Well, we still don't know what evidence he's speaking of, and it's incumbent on Nunes at this point to be as transparent as possible. I think it's important to note that he became the chairman because he doesn't have a reputation for being grandstanding. He had a very good reputation, which is why he was given this serious position as chairman. And it's not beyond anyone's comprehension. We know that President Obama targeted people for political reasons through the IRS, through the Tea Party. It is not above everyone's understanding that this can happen, but I am begging Chairman Nunes to be as transparent as possible, because I do believe the American public has a right to know whether or not our intelligence agencies are doing things specifically for political purposes and specifically against this sitting president, which all leaks right now point to yes.
By the way, you cut me off.
Go ahead, bud.
No. I would just want to say it's okay.
No,
You don't cut Bob off.
No, it's fine. I just.
So you're cutting each other off
Can
to
I give you
let him
this,
know that
Can I give you
he cut
this?
you off.
The shroud of mystery
it's
that's
okay.
surrounding this thing. Tuesday night, Devin Nunes gets a call while he's with staffers. The cab he's in, the Uber he's in, has to pull over. Nunes leaves the Uber with his staffers in the car, goes to the White House, gets this information, and then the next day is when they reveal that there's something going on.
Yeah, he's switching cars. It reminds me the end of Goodfellas. Where's the casino when they're switching cars and talking on?
That
It's
was
casino,
definitely
yeah.
Casino, yeah.
When the wives are talking about really boring stuff for 20 minutes, and all of a sudden they get to hand the phones back to their husbands. The thing is that Chairman Nunes actually thought about installing his own private server in order to get the classified information at his house, because he realized that that's not a crime anymore.
Yeah.
But he went ahead and went to the White House. There are other secure locations he could have gone to. It's
The
funny.
Popeyes on 17.
Very secure.
Or that Starbucks bathroom that
Delicious
Yes.
everyone
biscuits.
goes to.
But Adam Schiff going in front of cameras every chance he gets, talking about independence, is absolutely laughable. And I guess one of the reasons that the chairman didn't share this information with Congressman Schiff is because Congressman Schiff is a little bit annoying,
Yeah.
and he knew that no matter what he did, either way, he was going to
He
run
wouldn't
his
share
company.
it with him because he was covered up for the White House. By the way, if the guy was in it, I don't care who it was. Whoever gave him that stuff had a White House pass, which means they work for Trump.
Well, wait,
Which means
wait,
they-
wait,
can you wait a second?
Does Schiff work for Trump now?
What does that have to do with anything? We're talking about
Does-
Nunez. We're talking about him
does
getting out of a
Nunez- does
cab
Nunez
like
work
some
for Trump?
modern day
God,
007.
you're just making the leak that it actually came from within the White House. You can use the White House.
What's
for-
illegal
but he clearly read
about that? You got to have a pass to get in the White House. Try it
Whatever
without one.
information he has become privy to clearly alarmed him enough to say this in front of a press corps, knowing he's a smart man. He knows that this would probably end up
And he
being
was
a
covered up for
controversy.
Trump and
I don't
Manafort
think
the
that's
next day.
fair. I think there are a lot of unanswered questions about exactly what the intelligence community was doing and why. And again, if he saw some evidence that showed that they were spying on Donald Trump for a specific reason, that is information the American public more than has a right to
Well,
know.
he should take it to his committee, shouldn't he?
I'm not conspiratorial by nature. I really am not. And I think all the information, all the leaks that have shown so far since President Trump has been elected are pointing to an extreme politicization in our intelligence communities that the American public should be very wary of.
Well, why should Trump get that information before the committee gets it?
He's the president of
He's
the
the
United
president.
States. He has
Well-
access to more information than the committee
Well,
has
that's what
access
you
to.
think. You think he has
I think
more-
he's the president.
I think he doesn't read anything. That's his problem.
Let's move on to this. Today, Press Secretary Sean Spicer pushed back on the idea that Nunes was the recipient of what they're calling a White House, quote, leak.
Why is this leak okay, but other leaks are not?
There's a difference between a leak, someone leaking out to reporters for nefarious, to take classified information and share it with people who aren't cleared. Chairman Nunes is cleared. He is the chairman of the Intelligence Committee. Someone who is cleared to share classified information with somebody else cleared is not a leak.
All right, Bob.
Okay.
Yeah.
All you, brother.
What, I mean, should I repeat the thing I said about Spicer? I shouldn't
wouldn't.
say that.
No.
No, he's got a family. He's not going to last long anyway. Listen, the fact of the matter is, what he said, that is the most tortured answer I have heard. This is the chairman of the Intelligence Committee. It's unprecedented. They never, ever have that happen. When I was at the White House in '76, we started, the Intelligence Committees were started on Frank Church's bill, and it was Barry Goldwater and Daniel Inouye were the two co-chairs of the Senate. And never once did either one of them give something to the White House that the other one didn't know.
Did you just make a claim that White Houses don't leak? Is that the
No.
claim?
I said that what happens is the Intelligence Committee chairman usually are formidable Americans who are not trying to cover up for a dirty president.
Gotcha.
If
Hold on.
it's not. It may not be a leak. It's what I would call a tease. You know what I mean? It was like you see. I think it was very premature in this press conference. It was like somebody who said they have really good gossip, and right when they're about to tell you, they go, "Oh wait, I gotta go. I'll call you back."
Or like Rachel Maddow saying that she has Trump's tax returns, and then you realize that rich people actually pay a lot of money in taxes.
Exactly.
Okay, but here's the
part of
problem, though.
That there wasn't more distance between the actual, that Tuesday night jumping out of the cab, getting the information, and then that press conference that Nunes held the very next day.
Yeah, I mean,
Should
what's
a little
problematic
time-
is also the White House points to Nunes's information and says, see, we're exonerated. See, and they gave
But they're
me-
not exonerated,
But at some point,
Well, we
it's
don't-
begging the question. At some point, it's using the premise as the conclusion. and that's a fallacy.
Bobby, let me bring Megan in.
I believe that they were, I don't believe necessarily in the wiretapping. I don't think we should get caught up in that one phrase, but I do believe that a lot of these agencies inappropriately use surveillance in one form or another.
Bob,
that's the real question here.
Megan, there was, I think on Friday, they said, Nunes said he was going to call James Comey and Admiral Rogers for a closed-door meeting that was supposed to happen today. There were no shows.
Well, I mean, that's highly disappointing for a lot of reasons, but I think James Comey has completely shot himself in the foot. I thought he should have stepped down before the election, no matter what president we had, because Republicans and Democrats have reason to believe that he is politicized and easily manipulated in both ways. I'm deeply concerned. I've always been deeply concerned by these leaks one way or the other. I think anytime you're taking secret intelligence information that could impact our national security into your own hands for political reasons, to say it's dangerous, I think it's treasonous. I think it's insane. And so I have said from the beginning, I think this White House specifically has a leaking problem because a lot of people were put into place in the intelligence communities under President Obama. And I don't know exactly where they go going forward, but I do think this normalization of leaks is very dangerous, starting, by the way, with WikiLeaks and the understanding that releasing Hillary Clinton's information is okay. But I think Chairman Nunes really needs to be as transparent as possible.
Megan,
the biggest advice I would give to him.
Let me ask you a question. Given it's fair to say this has become fairly controversial, this investigation. Why, let me ask Eric this too, why would you guys, or do you, oppose an independent counsel to get this thing out of Capitol Hill, out of politics, into the hands of people who know what they're doing and who have no skin in the game?
Why did you oppose that with Benghazi?
Huh?
Why did you oppose that with Benghazi?
I didn't oppose it with Benghazi.
Why did you oppose that with Hillary Clinton's email scandal?
I didn't.
I did not either, but I find that a lot of your colleagues and people who share your philosophy completely opposed it.
Frankly, I hate to get into Benghazi again because I promised I would mention.
Come on, let's stay on this. Let's stay on this. Megan,
we stayed on Benghazi for 4 years.
Would you be opposed?
No, but the problem is there's an innate distrust of so many people in our intelligence communities and so many people, quite frankly, that would be on such a committee. I mean, it's at the point that it's absolutely ridiculous, and quite frankly, it scares me that so many people have this distrust. But I actually don't think it's something to make light of. You're talking about our national security secrets and people purposely trying to undermine our president.
So are you for an independent counsel?
Let's bring Greg in.
Yeah, I am too. I think we need an independent investigation to find out if it's Nunes or Nunez. Because it's driving me crazy. Also, this is all about a tweet. And the tweet, you almost had the sheet over the tweet, and then Nunes came and gave the tweet CPR. It was like we had just moved past that story, and for some reason he had to come back and do that. It was already 2 weeks old.
All right, but we're going to leave it right there, and I called his office, and the voice on the recorder said, Congressman Nunes.
Nunes, that's what I'm thinking.
No tilde.
Nunes, no tilde. All right, leave it right there, and make sure to tune in tonight. O'Reilly Factor for Bill's one-on-one interview with Congressman Nunes. That's tonight. Big interview happening at 8 p.m. Coming up here, White House shifting blame for the failure of the GOP health care plan. The latest fallout next.
I'll make you a believer. This is the 5. The effort to repeal and replace Obamacare isn't over. Today, the White House said it is working with opponents of the health care bill on a way forward after the legislation imploded in the House on Friday. The president isn't only blaming Democrats for the collapse. He tweeted, quote, Democrats are smiling in D.C. that the Freedom Caucus, with the help of Club for Growth and Heritage, have saved Planned Parenthood and Ocare. His chief of staff backs that up.
Well, I think the president's 100% correct, and he hits the bullseye. We can't be chasing the perfect all the time. I mean, sometimes you have to take the good and put it in your pocket and take the win. I think it's time for our folks to come together, and I also think it's time to potentially get a few moderate Democrats on board as well.
Oh, curious. Here's how some Freedom Caucus members are responding to the president's tweet.
This is not the end of the debate. This is like, I had one of my friends call me the other day. He says, it's like saying that Tom Brady lost at halftime. We're not, we may be in overtime, but I can tell you at the very end of the day, the most valuable player will be President Trump on this because he will deliver.
Instead of doing the blame game, let's get to work. Let's do the responsible thing. Let's get back to work and do what we told the voters we were going to do. Remember this bill? 17% of the country approved this bill. Maybe the fact that we oppose it, we did the country a favor because this bill didn't repeal Obamacare.
No, it absolutely didn't. It just gave it a little whitewashing and a few rewrites. Eric, do you think it is inappropriate to blame the Freedom Caucus for the failure of this legislation?
No, I think the Freedom Caucus is going to want that blame because the way the premiums and deductibles were going to work out is they were going to peak at 2018 and 2019, which means with all those members are going to go up to their districts and have massively higher, for most of the people in their districts, massively higher premiums. Yeah. They were going to get destroyed in the town halls. So I think maybe it looks right now like it's their fault, but I think there will be some form of replacement to Obamacare down the road, so that will be taken care of. In the meantime, it's time to get working on taxes, guys. And I understand that you wanted to do Obamacare first because you wanted the $1 trillion savings to put toward taxes. Do it anyway. Take the big, what looks like maybe deficit increasing tax cut, and then fix it with the repeal of Obamacare. It took 17 months to get Obamacare through. They tried to get the replacement done in 17 days. Come on, they got time to do this.
Yeah, they got time, they had time, and now the White House says that they're going to reach out to some of those moderate Democrats. My question for you, Bob Beckel, is there such a thing in 2017 as a moderate Democrat?
Well, not from your standpoint. We're all communists, but I mean
I'm a libertarian. How dare you?
Okay, sorry about that.
You've always been communist.
You know, interestingly enough, the Democrats now want very much to get into this game, and they think they've got an idea about how they, you know, if you look at some of the welfare reform, for example, in the 90s, where the Democrats and Republicans coming together, I think the Democrats have an opportunity here. I think Trump doesn't care about the Freedom Caucus. He'll negotiate a deal, and the Democrats will protect one thing that the Freedom Caucus will never agree to, which is Medicare reform and Medicare extension. They just want to do away with Medicare. So the Democrats could do across state lines, even tort reform, get some things done on Medicare, and you get a bill, and it'll get passed, and the Freedom Caucus becomes insignificant. Right now, this country's being held hostage by a bunch of right-wing kooks.
All right, so, Megan, you know, Bob brings up a good point, which is buying insurance plans across state lines, which is something you never hear Democrats talking about. Bernie Sanders came out with his single-payer version of Utopia, which will truly bankrupt the country and make healthcare so ordinary, it's awful. So what is the way forward? Is it reaching out to these Democrats, or is it just trying to get the Republicans back in order?
You know, there really are a lot of lessons to be learned here, but I do think, and I'm, as you know, you and I see this through different lenses, but I don't think the Freedom Caucus can take all the blame here, and I'm actually surprised that's who's getting the head of the blame. This bill was done privately, backdoor-wise, by Paul Ryan, then presented on a silver platter and said, you agree with this, or we're taking our ball and going home. The American people are suffering right now. 1 in 10, I just looked this up, 1 in 10 people in the American public want it to remain as is. It's a deeply unpopular bill still. And I just don't understand going forward how Republicans can't unite together for the good of the American public. Premiums up 125% in my home state of Arizona. I don't think Paul Ryan can sit there and say, you have to accept this as is. I also think the Freedom Caucus should meet in the middle. We were talking about on Outnumbered today. I actually do believe compromise could have happened and could have been found had it not been so rushed through, and had there not been this insistence on no bipartisan or inter-party, I say bipartisan because they're two separate aspects of the party, you know, cooperation together. And I really do think it could have been done differently, and we could have had a different outcome.
I think you're absolutely right. I think if the bill were written differently, you would have seen more moderates and conservatives get on board with it. But Greg, what does the road forward look like? You know, Eric talks about tax reform. Does the president have to have a win on tax reform before he goes back to these various caucuses?
I think so, but the road will always be bumpy when you're a conservative Republican. Again, the difference between the left and the right, the left is an obedient cult. They fall in line. The right is as
Here we go.
No, it's true. And the right is as fractious as, you know, Black Friday at Walmart. The enemy is the perfect is the enemy of the good, whatever. We can't win them all. The worst thing you can do, in my mind, is the blame game, because you just sit there and you stew. It's like a marriage. If you're only interested in being right, you will always be wrong. So the whole key is to move along, and also I have to say, you know, I have to give Trump credit because he went for it, and it humanized him. It humanized him.
Yeah, and his reaction when he had that press conference at the White House after the bill was pulled. But I want to bring up a point that I'd like you to address, Bob, and that is Reince Priebus says, here's a good one. We should have put it in our pocket, taken the win, and gone home. I think that's what Democrats did with Obamacare, which was a horrible bill. They settled for something that was less than acceptable, and now it's in a death spiral, and Republicans were smart not to make the same mistake in that regard.
You guys keep talking about being in a death spiral. I want to see that proof. 125% in Arizona is for a certain small percentage of people who have...
I'm sorry, I'm an Arizonan, and the stories that are coming out of my home state are
But I'm saying that the majority, the average of Arizona does not pay 125%.
No, the average is somewhere around 30% increase across the board.
Yeah,
that's
and what was it before?
And it's going to go up for 4 years.
So wait, my home state is just screwed?
And by the way,
that's the answer here? How dare you? I mean, I'm sorry, but there are people that are paying more than their mortgage and their premiums right now. And the problem, as we've been talking about all day, is there really is a bottom line for average Americans. And Washington, D.C. is a collective whole. I'm angry at everybody. I'm angry at Paul Ryan. I'm angry at the Freedom Caucus. I'm mad at President Trump. I'm mad at Democrats for putting this in place to begin with. But the bottom line is a lot of Americans are suffering. This is an unpopular bill that will implode, as Eric talks about at length.
Most people don't have houses, by the way, but that's okay.
I don't know. I honestly don't know why you're being so glib about it.
They're underwater.
Yes.
I mean, that's why we had the financial crisis of 2008. When
But
you
you
didn't
really
have
think
to
that Louis
I
Goober,
We gotta go.
go mayor.
You shouldn't be so glib about something that is actively making people suffer across the country. The hardest in my home state of Arizona.
Very lastly, it's almost impossible to come up with a bill that would cost more than Obamacare, but somehow the guys in D.C. figured that out. Paul Ryan and his...
Can I ask you last question? You think there could have been compromise, though, given more time?
I hate to compromise
Yes.
right now, but we are up against a break so hard. Its name is hardness. Coming up next, it caused a storm on the internet over the weekend. United Airlines blocked 2 teams.
United Airlines barred 2 teen girls from boarding a flight because their leggings violated a dress code. This set off our precious celebrity tweeters who frothed like cups of overheated cappuccino, mocking the airline for its sexism. It must feel so good for Chrissy Teigen, Patricia Arquette, and LeVar Burton to unload on a giant faceless company and its poor employees just trying to do their damn job, which is what the gate agent was actually doing. See, the teens were boarding as pass travelers, i.e. they were flying for free as dependents of United employees. That means they represent the company and they got to follow their dress code. Being that company, United can force such rules. It's why I don't show up for the 5 and hot pink leather cutoffs as much as I'd like to, and that's good for you. And the airline. I mean, since when did air travel turn into a sloppy slumber party? And I'm not talking just about women, but men, boys, girls, flip-flops. I don't need to see your toenails. Tank tops, your hairy shoulders turn no one on.
Thanks,
and spandex leggings, you're not a mime. Wear them when you do laundry. Without standards, who knows what we'll wear or not wear next? Travel like a pro, not like a hobo. That's my motto. And as for the celeb outrage, you can stuff it, especially Miss Chucklenuts Patricia Arquette. Last week, she tweeted that terror attacks are likely fate to distract the world from Trump's Russian ties. Frankly, Patricia, that opinion looks far worse on you than a thong on Bob Beckel.
Oh.
I have that picture still, Bob,
Don't be
so
so
watch.
quick to judge.
All right, I'm going to go to the ladies first, or women, as I like to call them.
Oh, great.
And I spell it with a W-O-M-Y-N, Kennedy.
Yeah.
I think this is, I say good for United. What do you say?
I don't have a problem with it. This is, it's a company. This is not the government squashing someone's First Amendment rights.
Yes.
And frankly, these girls should have had their parents explain to them what the dress code is for pass travelers.
Yes.
And, I remember a time when I used to fly in the 20s and 30s, Greg.
Yes.
We wore hats, and the men wore suits with full lapels and
Yes.
cummerbunds.
Yes.
And we all had smoking jackets and cravats.
Cravats. Cravats never go out of style in my world. Meg, what do you think about this? I mean, people now travel in leggings carrying giant bedroom pillows.
Yeah, I know. I mean, listen, I, as a general rule, don't like telling women what to wear, where to wear it, or how to wear it. I think people can do whatever they want.
What if it's your company?
The thing is, if you travel at all, and I travel almost every weekend, you see people wearing Snuggies and pajamas to the airport, so I don't specifically understand why it was these girls that got the wrath of United, but anything that Patricia Arquette and Chrissy Teigen are against, then I kind of have to be for, so I guess I changed my position. And it would be good if some of these celebrities put their platforms to good use, like talking about, you know, veterans waiting, humbled over in pain at the VA and
or privatizing the TSA, a real issue at airports.
Or what about the injustice towards women in radical Islam in countries where that's going on? I don't remember Chrissy Teigen ever tweeting on that, Eric.
So I would agree with you, Greg. I think you aptly point out that when you're flying for free, you're representing the company. Just like in a football stadium, you can't show up with your own jersey. You're representing the team. I love the free market solution though. Delta, not United, but Delta tweeted today, hey, where is this? Flying Delta means comfort, meaning you can wear your leggings with a smiley. So they're just playing with them a little bit. But
wear the leggings and their shirt over the leggings. I don't know. It's like that's what mimes wear. Nobody likes mimes, especially you, Bob.
No, I certainly don't. First of all, I'm going to miss those pink hot pants years. I thought they were really the highlight of some of our days. I'm going to surprise you. I'm going to agree with United on this. I mean, I think if they are flying for free, and by the way, I think, if I'm not mistaken, their father got on before them, and he must have known what the dress code was, right?
Well, he was wearing leggings, too.
He was? Was he wearing a thong?
All right. You always have to take it one step. There's the line, and Beckel's over there. Exactly.
But I don't understand why they can't just do what they're supposed to do if you're going to fly for free. I mean, if I could fly for free first class, of course. I'd wear.
God knows what you'd wear, Bob. You know what the other part of the story? This probably never would have been a story, but like a fellow traveler and blogger overheard it. It wasn't even a big deal. Some of the girls actually found clothes to put on, but the fellow traveler and blogger, Miss Busybody, had to do something. Those are the worst people. The people that sit there.
People that live tweet stuff on planes are the worst type of
Chrissy
people
Teigen
ever.
is the worst.
I just hate people that live tweet about other people on planes. Things like that.
Half of it's made up.
I agree with Kenny. I like the days when you used to do ties and jackets. Now they don't do showers.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
I wear a boa and sequins, even on a quick commuter flight. Are you kidding me, Bob?
I bet you swore on those
I'm
flights.
the grand dame of Continental. No longer exists.
We have... Oh, Continental. Remember TWA?
What do I?
Oh, jeez. All right, we're old. Or I am. Up next, an update from the president on his effort to secure the border and a stern warning from his attorney general for sanctuary cities that protect illegals ahead.
President Trump tweeted his efforts to stop illegals from crossing our southern border, tweeting, General Kelly is doing a great job at the border. Numbers are way down. Many are not even trying to come in anymore. Earlier at the White House, his Attorney General Jeff Sessions delivered a new warning to states and cities that provide sanctuary to the undocumented in violation of the administration's orders.
Countless Americans would be alive today, and countless loved ones would not be grieving today if these policies of sanctuary cities were ended. Today, I'm urging states and local jurisdictions to comply with these federal laws. Failure to remedy violations could result in withholding grants, termination of grants, and disbarment or ineligibility for future grants. I strongly urge our nation's states and cities and counties to consider carefully the harm they are doing to their citizens by refusing to enforce our immigration laws and to rethink these policies.
Yeah, I still don't understand what he said. Here's a couple of facts, then I want to throw it around the table. One, more illegals were leaving the country than coming in last year under the Obama administration. Two, what he's talking about, the sanctuary cities, the sanctions they're going to put on states that are sanctuaries or states or cities, were put into place by the Obama administration last August. So, Jeff, get yourself some new material, all right? Go on Saturday Night Live.
It's important that you note that, though, Bob.
What?
This is very important. A lot of people were saying, well, what do you do about sanctuary cities? And conservatives on the right would say, well, cut off funding. Well, not only the funding that they're reimbursed for when they hold an illegal in these sanctuary areas, but also cut off bigger picture funding. And I went back and trying to figure out how can you legally do that? And what President Obama did, executive order, is he earmarked, or he's pushing to earmark education funding to cities that didn't uphold federal law.
Yeah.
I mean, that's fantastic. So all Trump is doing is, once again, taking a law that President Obama put in place, and he's actually enforcing it.
Except that what they're talking about here is cutting off funding for law enforcement, which seems to me to be counterproductive if you're
worse than education.
Well, no. I mean, I think both of them probably have some legitimacy to them, but I'm not sure I would start with law enforcement. That's all.
You know how you punish a city like that?
How?
You elect another liberal mayor. I mean, think about it. How do you threaten a city like Chicago? Under Rahm Emanuel has done more damage than anybody possibly could. I mean, it's a joke. By the way, all these pro-sanctuary city positions are nothing but virtue signaling. They don't mean anything. Just people going, look how much I care. But you don't even care about your own citizens, the people who are victims of crime, but you pretend to care about something like sanctuary cities because there's no capital being expended on your part. You just seem so romantically,
No, the left
screw you.
is really good at politicizing emotion. Oh, you heartless, whatever, conservative, if you're against sanctuary cities. Talk to Kate Steinle's family if you think this is still a good idea. I've never understood the concept of a sanctuary city. You and I have talked about this, that we're just going to have a sanctuary area of New York where I don't pay taxes and I can do whatever I want and be completely lawless, because I really see absolutely no difference between doing that and doing this. There are real-life ramifications. There's plenty of stories in the news. 14-year-old girl raped by illegal immigrants that were in the sanctuary city just last week. I just think President Trump ran on hardline immigration. He's delivering it, and I'm not going to have my emotions manipulated by the left simply because he's continuing to enforce the laws that are already in place.
Kennedy, you're a libertarian. I assume you would just let them come in and smoke dope on the beach, right?
What?
What's wrong with that?
Sounds like a great
idea. I'm there tomorrow.
However,
See you tomorrow.
I've got
That's exactly
and I've got work to do. I'd love to go to one of your pleasure parties, but
That's exactly Kennedy's
okay.
platform.
But here's the thing. Megan, you and Greg talk about virtue signaling, and you're absolutely right. Oftentimes, these exercises on the left are, look how great I am.
Right.
But on the right, conversely, it's look how tough I am. But Bob brings up a really good point. There have been fewer people coming into this country and more leaving as the Great Recession continues to linger. You also have, believe it or not, some market reforms in Mexico that have improved the economy there. But
Making Mexico great again.
They're trying to, but
that doesn't mean you look the other way on,
yes,
on
you
people
do not know, but that's my final point. If someone does something bad, whether they are from here or they are just visiting or they have overstayed a visa, they need not continue to participate in a free and prosperous society.
We got to go to our teams. Greg, let me ask you one question. You live in a sanctuary city. Has one thing happened to you because of a sanctuary city?
A lot of things.
Have it? Okay.
Can't mention it here, though, because I asked for it.
You started drinking tequila. More U.S. troops are heading overseas to drive ISIS out of Iraq as the Prime Minister tears into President Obama for abandoning the fight. Next.
Iraq's second largest city. Now we're sending in 200 more troops to regain control of the western part of the city. 2 companies from 82nd Airborne Division have been deployed to help liberate Mosul. Iraq's prime minister predicted ISIS will be defeated within weeks, and he's not crediting the Obama administration for the help.
Do you see a difference between President Trump's determination to destroy ISIS and President Obama's?
I can see a very powerful determination to defeat Daesh.
But more determination with President Trump than President Obama.
Well, yes, I can see that determination. President Obama didn't want to get involved in the first place. He just wanted to forget Iraq. There was a lot of pressure on President Obama to come to the help of Iraq. Well, I think at the moment there is understanding that Iraq is an ally, and we should keep on working with Iraq to support Iraq to stand against terrorists.
You know, Aaron, Eric, I'll start with you first. I mean, I thought that was no disrespect to the Iraqi prime minister, but of course, President Trump is harder on ISIS and more committed to solving our problems in the Middle East than President Obama was.
Yeah, President Obama couldn't wait for Iraq to go away and thought it was going away, and it didn't go away on him. I'm in the camp, and I've been saying this for years, that I hate the fact that we get involved in these Middle East conflicts. I just don't like them. This is the one I think that you have the opportunity to now put ISIS completely out of Iraq. You got to finish the job. We spent $1 trillion and we have thousands of lives gone. Finish the job there. As far as Syria, man, I don't know that we pick up that fight. I mean, if you drive them out of Iraq into Syria, I'm fine with letting the Russians take care of that mess.
Yeah, that's a good point to make. Syria is a no-win situation. I mean, it's complicated. Who the rebels are is not at all clear. The Russians clearly are aligned with Bashir, and it's going to be problems for the United States. But it is this same prime minister, by the way, who shot his mouth off when we wanted a status of forces agreement, and he refused to go along with it. We wanted status forces agreement to leave more troops in, but this punk refused to go along with it.
Whoa.
And so I could care less what this guy thinks. I'm surprised he speaks English as well as he does.
Oh.
Anywho.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, moving on.
Uncle Bob.
Kennedy, what do you think of us sending 200 troops in right now?
I don't know. I mean, it seems as though if you don't have a clear strategy, you're putting American warriors in harm's way. And I think that's what we saw. That was the biggest mistake that the Obama administration made, is not really having an understanding, first of all, of how the region works, which, granted, it is so complicated. And to Bob's point, you don't know who your friends are. You have no idea who your enemies are, how many of them there are. But there's a pretty good chance that they will be armed with your weapons within a few years as alliances shift. And, I agree with Eric. Syria is such a disaster. And what Assad and the Russians have done in Aleppo alone, that humanitarian crisis, it is unforgivable.
It is a dystopian hellhole.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, there's really no other way of explaining it. So it's hard to see that the 200 troops are going to make enough of a difference, first of all, to defeat ISIS, and second of all, and more importantly, getting us out of the Middle East for good. Thoughts, Greg?
The difference between President Obama and President Trump is if you think you have all the answers, then you never ask the right questions. And we did the story in the Afghanistan ambassador, and what did he say about Trump? That Trump asked him the right questions. So I think the reason why President Obama missed ISIS to begin with is because he felt he had all the answers.